Today is Monday, March 12th, 2018, and your radio host today is Robert Bean. I will be reading the news from the Monday Fayettville Observer. Your weather. Today there will be rain and drizzle. The high will be 46. Tonight there will be some evening snow, clouds breaking, and the low will be 31. Tomorrow will be sunny to partly cloudy and cool. The high will be 53 to low 31. Wednesday will be mostly sunny and cooler with a high of 47 and a low of 28. Thursday will be mostly sunny with a high of 59 and a low of 40. Friday will be mostly sunny. The high will be 67, the low 43. Saturday there will be a few morning showers, then a thunderstorm with a high of 69 and a low of 49. And Sunday there will be rain and possible drizzle. The high will be 72, the low will be 54. And sunrise today was at 7:31 a.m. Sunset tonight will be at 7:20 p.m. Moonrise today was at 5:15 a.m. Moonset at 3:51 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 7:29 a.m. and sunset tomorrow will be at 7:21 p.m. New moon is March 17th, first moon March 24th, the full moon will be March 31st, and the last moon will be April 8th. Today in history. Today is Monday, March 12th, the 71st day of the Union armies in the Civil War. In 1912, the Girl Scouts of the USA had an economic crisis. And birthdays today, politician, diplomat, and civil rights activist Drew Young is 86. Actress Barbara Feldon is 85. Singer-songwriter James Taylor, Leslie Manville is 62. Actor Courtney B. Vance is 58. Actor Aaron Eckhart is 50. CNN reporter Jake Tapper is 49. Actor and we'll continue with the news with Daybreak. Need to know. Medicine Drop, the 9th annual. For more information, call 678-0116. American Symposium. Grays Creek FFA will offer workshops on gardening, backyard beekeeping, animal care, and more for adults and students during an agricultural symposium Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon at Grays Creek High School. There will be refreshments and door prizes. Register at grayscreekffa.com. The event is free. Dog Day in the Garden. Cape Fear Botanical Garden will have its Dog Day in the Garden from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on March 24th. There will be dog-related vendors, canine-friendly activities, and local food trucks on site. Admission is free for garden members, $5 to $10 for non-members. The garden is at 536 Northeastern Boulevard. You can call 486-0221 for more information. Easter in Hope Mills. Join the Hope Mills Recreation Center in celebrating Easter on March 24th. Events include breakfast with the bunny, an Easter egg hunt, and crafts in the Recreation Center. Tickets must be purchased in advance. Contact the Recreation Center for more details. Breakfast with the bunny is from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. The egg hunt is 11:15 a.m. to noon, and the crafts are at noon. Admission is $6 per person. We want to hear from you. Please submit your events in writing, at least 10 in advance. Email calendar at fayobserver.com. Fax complete details to 48635 by Hillel Italy, the Associated Press, New York. The publisher of Sherman Alexie, who faces multiple allegations of sexual harassment, is postponing the paperback of his latest book. Hattick Book Group had planned to release the paperback of his memoir, You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, in April. Hattick told the Associated Press on Sunday that the date had been pushed back indefinitely and that a change was made at the author's request. Alexie, one of the country's best-known authors, issued a statement earlier this month acknowledging wrongdoing. Last week he declined a literary honor the American Library Association had awarded him for You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, which came out in 2017. The Library Association had given him the Carnegie Medal for nonfiction, a $5,000 prize. We were surprised and troubled to hear the allegations that have recently emerged and are concerned about the distress this situation has caused so many, Hatchett said in a statement. We are encouraged that Sherman Alexie has apologized to those he has hurt and has dedicated himself, as he said, to become a healthier man who makes healthier decisions. Hatchett has published some of Lexi's most acclaimed work, notably his young adult novel, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, winner of the National Book Award in 2007, required reading in many schools. Hatchett plans to keep his work in print, but did not immediately comment on whether it would release any future books. Public safety. Arrest. Billy Ray Nunnery, 51, of the 1000 block of Southern Avenue, was charged with larceny. His bail was set at $5,000. Gary Hisham Sims, 29, of the 700 block of Rockwood Drive of Fayetteville, is charged with possession of drugs and possession of drug paraphernalia. His bail was set at $. Akel Tevar Foxworth, 23, of the 700 block of Pinewood, and possession of stolen goods. His bail was set at $30,000. The thief, armed with a handgun, took his wallet. Opinion. The Observer's editorial. Hog Farm suit shows why some innovation is in order. In a federal courtroom last week, lawyers argued about what kind of evidence would be allowed at an upcoming trial. It was typical of this sort of sparring that goes on before a big lawsuit is heard. This suit is anything but typical. It's a massive nuisance and filed by people who live around some of the state's factory-scale hog farms. They're seeking damages from a subsidiary of Smithfield Foods, one of the world's largest pork producers, the company that has made North Carolina #2 in the nation for pork output. Pork is a $2.3 billion a year industry here. Most hogs collect the animal's waste, is open lagoons, and then periodically spray it on farm fields. This helps dispose of the waste and effectively fertilizes the fields. The trouble is, it also creates an almost unbearable stench. The more than 500 neighbors bringing the federal suit say the sprayed effluent droplets sometimes get picked up by the wind and deposited on their homes, ears, and clothing. They say it creates intense odors, draws clouds of flies, and generally prevents them from enjoying their own property. The lawyers want to introduce this information at the trial to show that there could be a way to prevent the problems inherent in spray disposal. The hog industry lawyers don't want the jurors to hear about those other methods. They are used in places with different soils, different climates, and other factors that might not be found in North Carolina. The suggested remedies might not work here. We're not sure what U.S. District Judge W. Earl Britt will rule about the evidence involving alternative solutions, but we do know it will take great feats of legal magic. We appreciate the value of the hog industry in North Carolina as much as we appreciate a good plate of barbecue and ribs. We don't want to chase it away, but hog farms do come equipped with some nuisance issues, and the state could be doing a lot more to help the farms introduce innovative solutions. It could start with simple measures like incentives to close up those lagoons or find viable alternatives to waste spraying. They could have solar panels, create a microgrid that keeps the farm's power up and operating at all times, even when there's a commercial power outage. Working in partnership with local utilities, could soon be supplying power to nearby homes as well. Maybe the jury doesn't need to know about innovation like that, but lawmakers should. And this state should have programs that help more hog farmers change the way they dispose of waste, using it for more than fertilizing fields and making this state more energy independent. Cumberland Matters. Property tax payment options available by Genevieve Mankell. It might seem too soon to start thinking about paying your 2018 Cumberland County property taxes. It's never a bad idea to get a jump start on paying your bill. Although property tax bills are not mailed until August, the Cumberland County Tax Administration Office has options for taxpayers who want the flexibility of paying their tax bill throughout the year. Prepayments can start as early as January 1st of each year to allow taxpayers a longer amount of time to pay and a way to fit the payment into their budget. The tax office will use an estimate based on a person's prior year tax bill to determine the amount of the monthly payment. For example, a taxpayer with an estimated $3,000 tax bill who starts a prepayment plan in March can pay $300 each month until December to ensure taxes are paid on time. Their application is required for prepayments. Prepayments can be made with cash, check, money order, or cashier's check in person at the office located on the 5th floor of the Cumberland County Courthouse or mailed to Cumberland County Tax Collector, P.O. Box 449, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28302, that's 0449. Payees should remember to annotate if their payment is a 2018 prepay. Property tax prepayments cannot be paid online or by phone with a debit or credit card. Another option for taxpayers to pay their property taxes is a partial payment plan. After taxpayers receive their property tax bill in August, partial payments can be made up to January 5th without being charged interest. If the bill is not paid in full by January 5th, a 2% interest charge will be added to the remaining balance, and 3/4% interest will accrue on the first of each month thereafter to the unpaid balance. Once a bill becomes delinquent, there is less flexibility on the amount of time the tax office can offer a payment arrangement. Anyone with a delinquent property tax bill should contact the tax office to discuss what payment options are available to them. The tax office wants to help taxpayers pay their taxes by offering payment plan options before the bill becomes delinquent. For more information about prepayment or payment plans, on the tax office at 678-7507. Cumberland Update, Thursday. Department of Social Services Adoptive and Foster Parent Information Session. The session held at noon and 6:30 p.m. at the DSS office on 1225 Ramsey Street. Call 677-2541 for more information. On Friday, Declutter and Distress Registration Deadline. Learn helpful tips to assist in decluttering your home. The class is March 20th from 10 a.m. to noon. To register, call 321-6866. And on Saturday, Animal Control Volunteer and Foster Orientation Sessions. Volunteer orientation is at 10 a.m. and foster orientation is at 2 p.m. at Animal Control Facility on 4704 Corporation Drive. Call 321-6852 for more information. Genevieve Menkel is the Communications and Outreach Coordinator for Cumberland County Government. You can contact her by calling 321-7108, or you can email her at gmankel, Gmankel, at co.cumberland.nc.us. Local and state jail beating likely to spur litigation. By Nancy McCleary, staff writer. The family of a man severely beaten in the Cumberland County Detention Center by another inmate says they will pursue legal action. They're planning to seek legal action against the detention center, and we are going to pursue it, yes, against the inmate Gary and Leslie Silvas, said earlier this week. They are the parents of Dylan Michael Silvas, 22, who was assaulted in his cell February 28 by Peter Michael Messick, 28. Both were being housed on the same pod, according to Lieutenant Sean Swain, a spokesman for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. When the doors automatically opened, Messick made his way into Dylan's cell and assaulted him. Dylan's jaws were shattered so badly that his chin moved and front teeth moved freely, his mother said. 2 teeth had to be removed so doctors could put metal plates and a pen in his face. He also suffered nerve damage and broken teeth. What no one knew was that Messick and Silvas were tied to a crime that happened in 2014. Messick allegedly kidnapped Dylan's 15-year-old cousin and raped her over the course of a week. The girl wound up pregnant. Messick had fathered a baby with her sister 3 years earlier. Messick was sentenced in 2016 to 25 years in prison on charges of second-degree rape, first-degree kidnapping of a minor, and taking indecent liberties with a child. Silva's family went on with their lives and heard nothing about Messick for years, they said. Messick's victim, who later married and had another child, died in January from a heroin overdose, the Silvases said. They disputed a statement made last week by Swain that Dylan had sold heroin to his cousin. On February 27th, Dylan, who was wanted for failing to appear in court on multiple occasions, arrested after his parents and grandfather, Thomas Silvas, turned him in. He was taken into custody about 10 p.m. Dylan is a heroin addict, and family members hoped a stay in jail would put him on the path to recovery. We called a nurse, pulled her to the side, and explained everything about it. Thomas Silvas said Dylan was going through withdrawals. The family believed Dylan would be safe in jail, but Messick, who was housed in another location, had then returned to Cumberland County for legal reasons. Unsuspecting detention officers put Dylan in a cell in the same pod as Messick. Dylan had his first appearance hearing at 2:30 p.m. on February 28th, his parents said. He returned to his cell, and by 4:30 p.m. he had been taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. They didn't even call an ambulance, Gary Silas said of the detention center's response. They took him in a car with an older brother about 3 hours after he was taken to the hospital. Dylan's parents were in the restaurant getting ready to eat dinner when they got the news. Their older son also texted photos of Dylan's injuries. The Silvases left immediately for Fayetteville. By the time they arrived, Dylan had been taken to UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill, where he was in surgery for 6 hours. As they were on the road, Dylan's parents tried to contact someone at the sheriff's office or in the detention center, they said, but no one would talk to them. One detention officer confirmed the assault had taken place. The Silvases had been unable to get their questions answered, they said. They want to know whether jailers were able to see what was happening in Dylan's cell, whether there is any video of the attack, and how Messick got into the cell. Dylan is home from the hospital and jail and is recovering at a family member's home. The Silvases won't disclose the location. Gary Silvas has said he believes the detention center should pay Dylan's medical bills. The sheriff's office declined to comment or answer the allegations made by Dylan's parents. There is an impending lawsuit, Swain wrote in an email. That statement shuts down all communications and requires attorneys to get involved and to speak to one another. Further communications on this subject will be between the Silvases representative and the sheriff's office's legal advisor and litigator. Staff writer Nancy McCleary can be reached at nmccleary, N-M-C-C-L-E-A-R-Y, at FAYobserver.com or by calling 486-3568. Inside politics, Rhino term is point of contention in District 44 seat by Monica Benatwali, staff writer. The use of the term rhino and voting records have caused contention on the Republican side of the race for the North Carolina House of Representatives District 44 seat. Linda DeVore of Fayetteville and Patrick Pesch of Fayetteville are running on the Republican side. They aim to unseat incumbent Billy Richardson, a Democrat who lives in Fayetteville. DeVore said she is running to help better the community and to bring back civility in political discourse. Before filling out the paperwork to run for office, she says she messaged Petch after reading him using the term rhino. Rhino stands for Republican in name only in politics. It is a pejorative that some Republicans use to describe fellow Republicans whose political views or actions are seen as insufficiently conservative. It's a term I don't use, DeVore said. No name calling, it's just not appropriate, and there's a lot of what's wrong with politics today. She added that she has wanted to run for the position for a long time, and Petch's use of the term had nothing to do with her decision. Petch disagrees with DeVore on the term's usage. She said it was a divisive term. Petch said, "I don't think so. I use it to refer to someone who lacks principles." Petch said he is concerned about DeVore's past voting in Democrat primary elections. DeVore said she was an unaffiliated voter for a decade. As an unaffiliated voter, I had a choice of voting in either party primary, DeVore said. In all but 2 years, I voted in the Republican primary. She said there were no Republicans to vote for on the local ballot in the 2006 primaries, so she voted in the Democrat primaries. In 2008, she said she voted Democrat in the primaries because by that time, John McCain had already received enough votes for president in the South Carolina primary. I've never been a Democrat, DeVore said. In all of the years during the decade that I was unaffiliated, I voted in the Republican primary, and of course I have not missed voting in a Republican primary since. Meetings. The next Moore County Republican Men's Club meeting is on March 19th at the Country Club in North Carolina at 1600 Morganton Road in Pinehurst. Registration begins at 11:30 a.m. The meeting will be called to order at noon. Not just $20, reservations are required and must be made by Thursday. The keynote speaker will be North Carolina Senate President Pro Tempore Phil Berger. Member Connie Lovell will also make a short presentation about the upcoming Moore County schools and SCC bond referendum that will be on the May 8th primary ballot. Reservations for the March meeting can be made at the RMC website. Go on to www.mcrmc.club. Guest is not accompanied by a member should make reservations by calling Bob Shajoki at 949-4250. The Cumberland County Progressives will meet on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Spinner's Pizza at 2805 Rayford Road. Charles Anderson, Jr., a history lecturer at Fayetteville State University, will be the guest speaker, and he will discuss Fayetteville's African American heroes. After he speaks, the Cumberland County Progressives will hold a business meeting. The meetings are free and open to the public. For more information, email cumberlandcountyprogressives@gmail.com. The Cumberland County Republican Women's Club will meet on Tuesday at Memphis Barbecue at 1498 Scavo Road. The meeting begins at 7 p.m. and the meal begins at 6 p.m. The meeting will involve a celebration of Women's History Month. The special guest will be Pat Smith, President of the North Carolina Federation of Republican Women, and Michelle Nix, the Vice Chairwoman of the North Carolina GOP. To RSVP, call or email Kara Ulrich at 580-1840 or email clunc1053@gmail.com. Inside Politics is published on Mondays. To submit news and announcements to Inside Politics, email them to insidepolitics@fayobserver.com. The deadline is Thursday. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Radio host is Robert Dean, and I am proud to serve you today. Aerial Gunnery Range Work Ahead of Schedule by Amanda Olasinski, staff writer. Construction on a new, modern aerial gunnery range at Fort Bragg is ahead of schedule and could open to soldiers as soon as 2020. The gunnery range, which will provide rotary wing aircraft bombing and target practice for aviators, is south of the Sicily, Normandy, Salerno, and Holland drop zones. The $45 million range will include more than 350 automated targets and 6 observation towers with cameras. Getting this completed is great news for Fort Bragg, said Wolf Amaker, the installation range officer. We've got a huge need for this range. In addition to aviators, the range will serve as a convoy, live fire, and sniper range. Units also will use it to conduct their biannual combined arms live fire exercises. The project was launched in 2008. The first phase, which began in 2015, involved clearing unexploded ordnance left behind after years of live fire training exercises. Bids for the project came in as high as $60 million, so Fort Bragg officials altered their plans. To save money, they used a company that operates unmanned robotics equipment to comb through the area to detect ordnance and chop down vegetation. Construction began in January of 2017. Crews moved in to put down roads, which will be used for convoy live fire training. Next, crews will install automated targets. Construction is expected to be completed by this summer. All of the automated targets must be tested before Fort Bragg will accept the range, which could take several months. The target people have 8 months to put targets in, Amaker said. Then we'll test it, run the targets on cycle. Once it's reliable, they'll hand it off to me and we'll start training. Among the primary users of the range will be aviators from the 82nd Airborne Combat Aviation Brigade. Currently, those soldiers either travel out of state to train or they monopolize training areas at Fort Bragg because they require such a large area for their exercises. That prevents other units from conducting training. The new gunnery range will ensure units can conduct timely training without waiting on other units to finish and will cost less than sending aviators out of state. At Fort Bragg, there are more than 1.7 million people training every year, totaling more than 5.5 million training activities. It's the busiest training area the Army owns, Amaker said. This gives them more options to do training. Staff writer Amanda Dolosensky can be reached at Dolosensky, ADOLASINSKI, at FAYobserver.com by calling 486-3528. A War Without an Objective, 6,000 Days In by George Will. The war is over, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld in Afghanistan, April 2002. I believe victory is closer than ever before, Vice President Mike Pence in Afghanistan, December 2017. With metronomic regularity, every 1,000 days or so, Americans should give some thought to the longest war in their nation's history. The war in Afghanistan, which is becoming one of the longest in world history, reaches its 6,000th day today, and it will have ground on for substantially more than 4 times longer than U.S. involvement in World War II from Pearl Harbor to VJ Day, 1,346 days. America went to war in Afghanistan because that not really governed nation was the safe haven from which Al-Qaeda planned the 9/11 attacks. It was not Mission Creep, but Mission Gallup that turned the intervention into a war against the Taliban, who had provided, or at least not prevented, the safe haven. So the United States was on a mission opposed by a supposed ally next door, Pakistan, which through Directorate S of an intelligence service has supported the Taliban. This fascinating, if dispiriting story is told in Steve Cole's new book, Directorate S, CIA and America's Secret Wars in Afghanistan and Pakistan. There cannot be many secrets about this subject that are not in Cole's almost 700 pages. He reports when General Stanley McChrystal went to Afghanistan in May of 2002. A senior Army officer in Washington told him, "Don't build Bondstills," referring to the NATO base in Kosovo that Rumsfeld saw as a symbol of peacekeeping mission creep. The officer warned McChrystal against anything here that looks permanent. We are not staying long. As McChrystal took the lay of the land, it felt like we were high school students who had wandered into a mafia-owned bar. It has been a learning experience. The blown-up tunnels, some almost as long as a football field, that were thought to be created by and for terrorists, U.S. officials learned that they were an ancient irrigation system. A decade ago, 7 years after the war began on October 7, 2001, then Secretary of Defense Robert Gates said the U.S. objective was the creation of a strong central government. When he was asked if Afghanistan had ever had one, he answered without hesitation, no, which is still true. For 73 years, U.S. troops have been on the Rhine, where their presence helped with the Cold War, and now serves with U.S. interest as Vladimir Putin ignites Cold War 2.0. Significant numbers of U.S. troops have been in South Korea for 68 years, and few people are foolish enough to doubt the usefulness of this deployment or to think that it will or should end soon. It is conceivable, and conceivably desirable, that U.S. forces will be in Afghanistan lending intelligence, logistical, and even lethal support for that nation's military and security forces for another 1,000, perhaps 6,000 days. It would, however, be helpful to have an explanation of U.S. interest and objectives beyond vice presidential boilerplate about how we will see it through to the end. If the U.S. objective is freedom there rather than security here, or if the theory is that the latter somehow depends on the former, the administration should clearly say so and defend those propositions or liquidate this undertaking that has so far cost about $1 trillion and 2,200 American lives. Washington Post columnist George Will's email address is georgewill@washpost.com. Letter to the editor. A call for spring break volunteer work. Cynthia Hooks of Fayetteville writes, "Fellow college students, we have spring break this month. I'm a senior at Fayetteville State University, and our break is March 10th through the 16th. Go Broncos! I know we are all stressed from homework and studying for midterms, but I plead out to you during your break, let's reach out and try to do something for our community. There are senior living facilities to visit or animal protection shelters to help out, the American Red Cross, the Goodwill, the VA Center, Fayetteville Urban Ministry, Salvation Army, the Child Advocacy Center, our local schools, our local churches, and a multitude of opportunities to give back to our community that supports us while we work so hard during the school year. Let's make a difference." Closed-door minutes reveal little. Fayetteville leaders have met behind closed doors 20 times since mid-2016 to talk about the downtown baseball stadium development, including its design, public financing, and rising costs, according to a Fayetteville Observer review of minutes from those meetings. Among the City Council's closed sessions, discussions also included improving diversity in the Fayetteville Fire Department and negotiations with Cumberland County over a joint 911 center. Under state law, public bodies are allowed to go into closed session for limited reasons, such as attorney-client privilege, negotiations with companies over incentives, and personnel. The bodies are required to keep detailed minutes of their closed meetings and make them public after whatever reasons that necessitated the secrecy are no longer pertinent. In some cases, however, the minutes from the 34 closed meetings reviewed by the Observer reveal little of what happened during the private discussions, despite the law requiring minutes to describe a general account of the closed session so that a person not in attendance would have a reasonable understanding of what transpired. Media lawyers interviewed for this story also questioned whether the city violated the open meetings law by allowing a manager of the Boys Creek Astros baseball team to sit in a closed session cited as attorney-client privilege. The Observer requested the minutes from the City Council and its baseball committee on December 12th under the state's public records law. About 6 weeks later, on the week of January 22nd, the city provided minutes for all but 4 closed sessions since summer 2016. The city said it could not yet release those minutes because doing so would thwart the reasons for the closed sessions. While the Observer was waiting for the city to release the minutes in January, it joined with multiple news organizations across the state to make similar requests for closed session minutes as part of a test of local government's responsiveness to the open meetings law. The outcomes are being published today as part of Sunshine Week, an annual effort to raise awareness of open government issues. The Observer also obtained minutes from closed sessions held in 2017 by the Cumberland County Board of Education and Fayetteville State University's Board of Trustees. The Cumberland County Board of Commissioners has yet to provide its minutes, which were requested January 3rd. County Attorney Rick Moorfield said last week that he expects the commissioners to approve release of the minutes on March 19th. Fayetteville State University released minutes from 7 meetings 8 days after the Observer's request. All of the minutes included thorough accounts of what occurred behind closed doors, including who spoke when, involving the hiring of vice chancellor positions, promotions, and a pay increase for employees. None of the minutes were redacted or appeared to have been altered. The Board of Education released minutes from 15 closed meetings with nearly all the information from 14 of the sessions blacked out. The only substantive information released was discussion about a proposal to buy property near a school from a church. Information from the other 14 closed sessions included only the time, those present, and the reason for the meeting. 13 of the meetings, with nearly no information provided, involved discussions of personnel, with some also including legal matters. The other was a discussion between the board's personnel committee and the board's lawyer, Nicholas J. Sotzka, Jr. Sotzka said in a letter accompanying the released documents that the records were general accounts of the meetings and that redactions were needed, citing a 2009 University of North Carolina School of Government document It said local governments often permanently seal minutes of closed meetings held to discuss personnel issues. Scant details. The Fayetteville City Council and Baseball Committee minutes were, in many cases, only a few paragraphs long for meetings that went on for more than an hour. The Council released minutes from 18 closed sessions while withholding those from March 22nd, May 8th, June 12th, and June 26th. The Baseball Committee released minutes from 16 meetings. According to the Council's minutes, 8 meetings involved companies considering coming to Fayetteville. 4 involved discussions about the baseball stadium and privately funded development around it. 4 involved discussions about the proposed joint 911 center with the county, and 2 involved discussions about City Manager Doug Hewitt's contract. Amanda Martin, a lawyer for the North Carolina Press Association, and Jonathan Jones, the director of the North Carolina Open Government Coalition, questioned whether the Council and Baseball Committee followed the state's open meetings law during some of the closed sessions. They also questioned the level of detail in the minutes. In many examples, the records show only discussion ensued. Closed session minutes must be kept in greater detail than open session because the General Assembly wants the public to be able to understand what occurred during those limited times that boards are permitted to hold discussions behind closed doors, Jones said, and does not appear to be happening in Fayetteville. Fayetteville City Attorney Karen McDonald said the city's governing bodies follow the law during all 34 closed sessions. The statute only requires a general account of what happened in closed session, McDonald said. The State Court of Appeals has only reviewed one case regarding a general account prepared by a public body. In that case, the general account did not summarize the substance of the discussion or the specific positions of the members. Jones and Martin raised additional questions regarding the city's citing of attorney-client privilege. If the basis for a closed session is attorney-client privilege, essentially the only thing they can do is get legal advice, Martin said. And advice doesn't have to relate to litigation. It could be a lawyer explaining a contract or legal issues related to something going on. McDonald disputed that interpretation of the opening meeting law. The attorney-client exception allows the council, a public body, to go into closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, McDonald said. This exception also permits other persons to participate if their presence is necessary to the issue being discussed. During a May 8th closed session under attorney-client privilege, David Lane, the general manager for the Buies Creek Astros, attended part of the meeting. He expressed concerns on behalf of the Houston Astros about the design of the Hay Street Stadium that's now under construction, the minutes said. Martin said that while the inclusion of non-public employees is sometimes allowed, it is not allowed during attorney-client privileged closed sessions. Only city employees represented by the city's legal counsel are live in such meetings, the media lawyer said. The presence of the Astros representative destroys the attorney-client privilege, Jones said. The meeting could not legally be closed for attorney-client communications with him in the room. McDonald disagreed. The exception allows the discussion of any legal issue to include claims or potential claims, as was the case on May 8th when David Lane attended part of the closed session, McDonald said. The Observer raised questions in December after a 3-hour closed session that included a presentation by 2 Prince Charles Holdings Group partners who are redeveloping the former Prince Charles Hotel and constructing a hotel, parking deck, and office building next to the stadium. With the baseball stadium expected to cost more than $33 million, the total public-private investment will be more than $100 million. During that meeting, the investors outlined several cost scenarios for the parking deck, according to documents later made public. Council talked about the size of the deck, rising material costs, and other project details. A city spokesman said previously that the closed session was appropriate as an economic development matter. In response to questions for this story, Mitch Colvin said he believes in open government and having open meetings. I'm 100% for transparency, Colvin said, but he added that he stands behind McDonald's interpretation of the law. None of us on council are attorneys, Colvin said, and rely on the advice of legal counsel. Staff writer Monica Benatuali can be reached at mbenatuali, MBENDITUOLI, FAYobserver.com or by calling 486-3596. Monday Moment. We're doing what we can. Submit your idea. The Monday Moment highlights everyday slice of life happenings in the community. If you have a story idea, email news@fayobserver.com and put Monday Moment in the subject line. We're doing what we can. Backpack Ministry volunteers help keep food pantry stocked by Rod Baxley, staff writer. Martha Wright looked around a room stocked with food inside Aaron Lake Baptist Church on Thursday. Two of her friends filled bags for needy children in the community. The 73-year-old Wright, who spearheaded what she calls the Backpack Ministry 8 years ago, was brought to tears as she thought about the growth of her weekly project. She paused as her eyes welled up, makes me happy that kids can be fed. I know that this is not Belize or Guatemala. We're doing what we can. Wright has seen the ministry, which aims to serve schools and the community, move from a little cubbyhole in the bowels of the church to a room that features shelves stocked with food and supplies each week. 7 groups from the church gather each Thursday morning to fill grocery bags full of food for needy children at Brentwood Elementary School, which is across the street from the church, and Lewis Chapel Middle School. The teams rotate throughout the year, each person doing their part to ensure kids in the neighborhood have something to eat. If a person from the school calls and says, "I have a child," then I figure a way to find them food, Wright said. I started with one other person. We started out with 10 kids, and then at the end of the first month, we had 20. By the end of that first year, we had 45 kids. We've just expanded since then. Before Christmas, we had about 67, and we've grown since then to 80. It's an honor to be able to serve the kids in the community. Wright, along with fellow church members, Celia Gerald and Sheila Johnson, were in the process of preparing 107 bags on Thursday. Each bag consists of 2 Yoo-hoo drinks, ravioli, macaroni and cheese, fruit cups, applesauce, fruit chews, oatmeal, and ramen noodles. It runs us about $400 each week, Wright said. Members of the church can designate their tithes to go towards it, and other people in the community help out too. Wright, a member of Aaron Lake since 1988, said her passion for feeding children was birthed in Belize. I've been on about 13 mission trips, she said. Went on a mission trip to Belize and stayed for about 8 weeks. There were kids eating from the dumpster. That hurts, the thought that we have so many children in our neighborhood that are hungry. I can't stand that. I can't stand a child being hungry. For Johnson, the ministry is all about serving where you are at any given moment. It's part of our servanthood, Johnson said with a smile. We're supposed to disciple everybody. I think the kids appreciate it. God tells us to reach out to the world. We're reaching out to our world right here. Gerald, in her second year as a volunteer with the Backpack Ministry, said each group prays for the kids before they began packing bags full of food. With her hands working at a factory-like pace on Thursday, Gerald smiled at the thought of the children that will be fed because of the church's work. I think the children appreciate it, she said. I just think it's my way of serving in the community. I worked full-time up until 3 years ago. Now I finally get to help in a small way. Despite her age and inability to contribute as much as she would like at this point in her life, Wright remains committed to seeing her ministry grow throughout Fayetteville and beyond Cumberland County. I just want to feed every child. I wish I had the money to give every child across the street a bag every day, she said, referring to Brentwood Elementary. I really believe God has asked me to feed as many children as I can. I hope this message gets out to other people and other schools. Staff writer Rod Baxley can be reached at rbaxley@fayobserver.com or by calling 486-3519. Fayetteville native vies for Idle Crown by Roger Moreland, staff writer. For a Lionel Richie fan like Hallie Vargas Sullivan, it was something like a dream come true. As part of her American Idol audition in October, Vargas Sullivan got to sing with Richie, the legendary singer-songwriter who is one of the judges on this year's season. "I was completely flustered," said Vargas Sullivan, who performs under the name Levazi, kind of a mashup of her surnames. "I said I just sang my favorite song with Lionel Richie." Vargas Sullivan, who lives in Fayetteville, is one of the contestants on the 16th season of the competitive singing show. Richie is one of the judges, along with Katy Perry and Luke Bryan. The show debuted Sunday, and another episode is scheduled to air today at 8 p.m. on ABC. A spokeswoman said Vargas Sullivan does not appear in the first 2 episodes. She said she wasn't sure when the singer will make her debut. For Vargas Sullivan, 20, the American Idol guest, is the latest step in a career that has already included a stint on Broadway. In 2000, when she was 9 years old, Vargas Sullivan won a role in a production of The Lion King, playing the role of Nala. She performed with the show for about a year and a half. After that life-changing experience, Vargas Sullivan returned to Fayetteville and picked up where she left off with her classes, homework, and friends. But she didn't leave her dreams of an entertainment career behind, focusing on her love of singing. In October, Vargas Sullivan went with her family to American Idol auditions in Savannah, Georgia. Her parents, Maureen Vargas and Dwight Sullivan, live in Fayetteville. "It was definitely a crazy experience, very overwhelming, a very long day," Vargas Sullivan said. "It was cold outside and I was wearing a short skirt. I think it was a 13-hour day from start to finish." For her audition, Vargas Sullivan sang "Love Should Have Brought You Home" by Toni Braxton. She said it wasn't her best performance given her nervousness, but she impressed the judges enough that they asked for another song. This time, Vargas Sullivan sang "Como la Flor" by Selena. This song, she allows, came off a little better than the first one. "Still not a great performance, I will admit, but I'm extremely hard on myself," she said. But the audition highlight for Vargas Sullivan, she said, came when Richie started singing "Zoom," a 1977 Commodore song that happens to be Vargas Sullivan's favorite. "I joined in," she said. "I said, this is my chance. I have to sing with Lionel Richie. It's my favorite song in life." Vargas Sullivan said she also apparently made an impression on another judge, although not necessarily for her singing. Katy Perry said, "She loved my nails," she said. "She asked me to come forward so she could see them." Vargas Sullivan is not allowed to say whether she won the coveted ticket to Hollywood. Fans will just have to watch to find out. Maureen Sullivan said she couldn't be prouder of her daughter. "I'm not so much proud of the voice. I'm more proud of when she's nervous and she goes for it anyway," Sullivan said. "That's when I'm most proud, when she steps out of her fear and goes for it. As far as her voice, that's God's gift to her and to me." Vargas Sullivan said she is continuing to work on her music while waiting her American Idol debut. She is grateful for the support she's gotten from her family and friends in Fayetteville who have seen the show promos in which she appears. And she's still shaking her head a little at the fact that she's appearing on a show she watched as a little girl singing alongside a man whose music she idolizes. "I never count anything out," she said. "In this business, things don't always happen the way you think they should." Staff writer Roger Mullen can be reached at rmullen@fayobserver.com or call him 486-3561. Vote in China Will Let President Rule for Life by Christopher Burden, Associated Press, Beijing. Xi Jinping, already China's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong, received a vastly expanded mandate Sunday as lawmakers abolished presidential term limits that have been in place for more than 35 years, or his political philosophy into the country's constitution. In one swift vote, the rubber-stamped legislature opened up the possibility of Xi serving as president for life, returning China to the one-man rule system that prevailed during the era of Mao and the emperors who came before him. The package of constitutional amendments passed the nearly 3,000-member National People's Congress almost unanimously, with just 2 opposing votes and 3 abstentions. The vote further underscored the total dominance of Chinese politics possessed by the 64-year-old Xi, who served simultaneously as the head of state, leader of the ruling Communist Party, and commander of the powerful 1 million-member armed forces. The move upends a system enacted by former Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping in 1982 to prevent a return to the bloody excesses of a lifelong dictatorship typified by Mao's chaotic 1966-1976 cultural revolution. This marks the biggest regression in China's legal system since the reform and opening up era of the 1980s, said Zhang Lifan, an independent Beijing-based political commentator. I'm afraid that this will all be written into our history in the future, Zhang said. The change is widely seen as the culmination of Tsai's efforts since being appointed leader of the party in 2012 to concentrate power in his own hands and defy norms of collective leadership established over the past 2 decades. Tsai has appointed himself to head bodies that oversee national security, finance, economic reform, and other major initiatives, effectively sidelining the Communist Party's number 2 figure, Premier Li Guangding. In addition to scrapping the limitation that presidents can serve only 2 consecutive terms, the amendments also inserted Tsai's personal political philosophy into the preamble of the Constitution, along with phrasing that emphasizes the party's leadership. It is rare nowadays to see a country with a constitution that emphasizes the constitutional position of any one political party, Zhang said. Voting among the legislature's hand-picked delegates began in the mid-afternoon, and Tsai leading members of the party's 7-member all-powerful Politburo Standing Committee and casting their ballot on a stage. Rank-and-file deputies then rose to vote on the floor of the hall as jaunty instrumental music played. The process was over in 10 minutes, and delegates returned to their seats.
Okay.
And this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. Our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. It's P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Once again, those numbers are area code 910-672-1600 or 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
James sitting in for you.
And Robert, and we are proud to serve you today. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Time for the obituaries.
Okay. Today, our death notices: Cumberland County, Pamela J. Arnold, 53 of Fayetteville, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. John Simon, 73 of Fayetteville, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Jesse L. Anderson, 82 of Fayetteville, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Betty A. Muzan, 72 of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Now we have the Cape Fear region. Tessie L. Clevis, 101 of Lumberton, Balls Biggs Funeral Home. Everett Malloy, 81 of Hamlet, formerly of Lauenburg, Richard Ball's Funeral Service. Cora Barnes, 88 of 101 North King Avenue, Dunn, Dafford Funeral Home, Dunn. And Jacqueline Louise Tatum, 65 of St. Paul's, Lafayette Funeral Home. Now we have our Cumberland County. Jason L. Thomas, Fayetteville, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Jason Lamar Thomas, 45, went to be with the Lord on March 9th after a prolonged illness. A visitation will be held tonight, March 12th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services, Hope Mills, North Carolina, and a funeral to celebrate his life on Tuesday, March the 13th at 2 p.m. at Mount Versailles Baptist Church, Fayetteville. Burial with full military honors will take place at a later date in Arlington National Cemetery. Penny K. Bunce, Godwin. Penny Carr Bunce, 55, passed away in her home on Tuesday, March the 6th. there will be a celebration of life ceremony at Fayetteville Community Church. That's 2010 Middle River Loop, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28312 on Saturday, March the 17th at 10:30 a.m. Tony Ray Redbone Alexander, Linden. Tony Ray Redbone Alexander, 49 of Linden, died Friday, March the 9th. Funeral Tuesday, 7 p.m. Skinner and Smith Funeral Home Chapel. Visitation, Skinner and Smith Funeral Home. Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this will take place, Skinner and Smith Funeral Home. Okay. Betty C. Wilson of Fayetteville. Betty C. Wilson, 81 of Fayetteville, died Saturday, March the 10th. A funeral Tuesday, noon, Highland Baptist Church, Hope Mills. Viewing, Highland Baptist Church, Tuesday, 11 a.m. to noon. Burial, Lafayette Memorial Park, Rayford Road, Reeves Funeral Home of Hope Mills. Regional and elsewhere, Beth Ella McLean. Rayford, Beth Ella McLean, 94 of Rayford, died Friday, March the 9th. Funeral Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. McLaurin Chapel, A&E Zion Church. Viewing, McLaughlin, what is that?
McLaughlin.
Yeah, McLaughlin Chapel, A&E Zion Church, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. The burial at the church cemetery, Bowie Funeral Home. And this concludes our obituaries and death notices for today. And our condolences go out to each and every family member.
Billy Graham. Christians have extra incentive to treat environment responsibly. Editor's note, this My Answer column was completed before Reverend Billy Graham's recent death. Mr. E.N.M. writes, I think it's important for us to take care of the environment, but in my experience, most of the people who are really concerned about this don't seem to be particularly religious. Does the Bible say anything about this? The answer, yes, the Bible often points out that we have a responsibility to take care of the earth and its resources. We are trustees of everything God has given us, and as the Bible reminds us, it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2. I'm thankful for those who are concerned about our environment. It's not wrong to want to safeguard it for future generations. Christians, however, have a further reason for treating the environment responsibly. We know that everything we have comes from God, and we are responsible to Him for its use. The Bible says, and His hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. Job chapter 12, verse 10. In fact, at the very beginning of the human race, God told Adam and Eve to take care of the earth and its resources. The Bible says God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. Some have mistakenly claimed that this means we can use the earth's resources wastefully. But the opposite is the case. God actually was telling them to be responsible trustees of everything He was giving them. Yes, God wants us to be concerned about the environment and its future. But don't overlook an even greater responsibility. Responsibility to put our faith and trust in Christ both for our lives right now and for eternity. The Bible says, set your heart on things above where Christ is. Colossians chapter 3, verse 1. Readers can write to the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 877-2-GRAHAM. The website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org. This article comes from Tribune Media Services.
Now we shall read Dear Abby, parents blame teen's friends for underage drinking episode. Dear Abby, my 15-year-old daughter Jenny went to a sleepover with her two best friends from school last Friday, Penny and Ginger. Penny's parents went out and left the girls alone. They drank some beer. Jenny and Ginger were sober, but Penny also drank some hard liquor and got very drunk. I found out about it following Monday after Penny texted my daughter and Ginger to tell them how upset and disappointed her parents were and that they were demanding letters of apology from all three girls. I thought it was over the top, but realizing Jenny was in the wrong, that same day Jenny wrote them an email with a heartfelt apology for disrespecting everyone by drinking in their house, for drinking their beer without permission, and for allowing their daughter to get drunk, not being a true friend and trying hard to stop her. Now, the 5th day after the email was confirmed received, my daughter is disappointed that it was never acknowledged. Penny's parents have been known to be dramatic in past dealings with other students and parents. Will you advise me on what I should do? I feel I should let it go and let Jenny figure out how she should choose her friends. She has ditched a friend who wasn't a good influence on her without us forcing her to. And this is from Jenny's mom in Canada. Dear Mom, there's plenty of blame to go around. Penny's parents shouldn't have left 3 teenagers alone with liquor available. While I can't blame them for being upset after coming home and finding their daughter smashed and the other 2 tiddly, they were wrong to expect Jenny and Ginger to have prevented their daughter from misbehaving. I do not agree that asking for a written apology was over the top. And under the circumstances, I don't think your daughter's letter needed acknowledgement. Let it go, with a firm lecture to your daughter about underage drinking and the consequences that will follow if you find out it happens again. Dear Abby, a couple of years ago, I ran into John, an old friend, who was going through a divorce. We began a wonderful relationship, although he was having a hard time emotionally. I was John's confidant and best friend. About 6 months after the divorce was final, his ex-wife found out he was with me. She decided she wanted him back, and he reconciled with her. John and I still talk, and since then they have broken up 3 or 4 additional times. I want him back, but only if she's completely out of the picture. She's a master manipulator and uses their adult kids and grandchildren to control him. How can I get it through John's head that if he stands his ground, she will go away and find someone else? And this is from Staying With It in Ohio. Dear Staying, if you think John's wife, X, will ever be completely out of the picture, you are mistaken. She will always be there in some capacity because of the children and grandchildren. If you can't accept that fact, you should end the relationship before you waste any more time. And this, readers, you can write to Dear Abby or dearabby.com or P.O. Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
Horoscope by Stella Wilder. Born today, you are a baffling combination of traits that would seem to be contradictory were you not proof that they can coexist within one human being. You're a generous individual with a certain selfishness that keeps you thinking about number 1. You are hardworking. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. Talk of perfection is waste of time, energy, and breath today. You must focus on realistic goals, like being the best you can be. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. You may have trouble with some of the simplest tasks today, which is a sure sign that your mind is elsewhere. What has distracted you? Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. Before you sit down to plan any big changes, do what you can do to eliminate resistance while you're on the move. Don't stop what you are doing. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Someone you know may be making a much bigger deal of something, and it's likely to be a mistake on your part. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. You are unable to shake your particular bias with regard to a certain developing situation. You may have to recuse yourself. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. Giving another a helping hand demonstrates your generosity and your eagerness to see that everyone is on the same page. Don't hesitate to do so. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. You're not eager to hang around and wait for someone to bail you out today. Still, you're going to have to face the music soon. Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. Are you really going to insist on doing a certain something the hard way? Today there are many reasons for easing your burden. Scorpio, October 23rd through November 21st. You may be tired of hearing the same old news from the same tired sources. Get out there today and see what you can dig up. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. You're more than qualified to handle anything that comes up today. The most difficult task is to persuade others that it's so. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. Someone else wants what you have and is willing to stop at nothing to get it. You're aware of this. When will you take action? Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th. Remember, a watched pot never boils. Keep yourself busy today even as you wait for news that will allow you to step into a new arena.
Guess what, Mr. B?
What?
You read that quite eloquently. Thank you. You don't say I don't give you compliments, right? Okay. We have some sad news here, though. A woman killed and 5 injured in wreck. Tar Heel. An Elizabethtown woman was killed and 5 people injured in a wreck in northeast Blaine County, the Highway Patrol said. The crash happened on NC 210 at Purdy Hall Road, less than a mile east of NC 87, said Sergeant E.C. Harris. Tawan McCoy, 37, was a passenger in a Dodge van traveling on NC 20 when it collided with a tractor trailer. The truck had slowed and was turning left on Purdy Hall when the van, driven by LaVon Johnson, 26, also of Elizabethtown, attempted to pass the truck in a no-passing zone and collided with it. He said, the van overturned and McCoy was ejected and killed. Johnson, who was among the injured, was charged with misdemeanor death by motor vehicle and other traffic violations.
Amazon's Alexa randomly laughs at users. By Haley Tsukayama, The Washington Post. Several people who own Amazon's Echo speakers have reported a strange bug. The Alexa voice assistant has been laughing for apparently no reason. Some users on Twitter and Reddit say the outbursts have been entirely spontaneous. Others have said that Alexa has laughed after being asked to turn on the lights and may have misheard the command. Having an office conversation about pretty confidential stuff, and Alexa just laughed, Twitter user at David Sven wrote recently. Anybody else ever have that? It didn't chime as if we had accidentally triggered her to wake. She simply just laughed. It was really creepy, said another Twitter user at Taylor Kate Lynn. So my mom and I are just sitting in the living room. Neither of us said a word, and our Alexa lit up and laughed for no reason. She didn't even say anything, just laughed. We unplugged her. Amazon.com chief executive Jeff Bezos is the owner of the Washington Post. Amazon said in a statement that the outbursts are due to its smart speakers hearing accidental orders. In rare circumstances, Alexa can mistakenly hear the phrase Alexa laugh, Amazon said. To fix the issue, Amazon is disabling that command and changing the trigger phrase to Alexa, can you laugh? Amazon is also changing Alexa's response to that command. Rather than have the assistant laugh right away, its cackling will be preceded by the sentence, sure, I can laugh. It did not say how many people have been affected. Amazon did not say why the speaker would laugh when no one is talking.
Okay, we have an article here about schools. Walkout pose balancing act for schools, Richmond, Virginia. As schools around the country brace for student walkouts following the deadly shooting in Parkland, Florida, principals and superintendents are scrambling to perform a delicate balancing act. How to let thousands of students exercise their First Amendment rights while not disrupting school and not pulling administrators into the raging debate over gun control. Some have taken a hard line, promising to suspend students who walk out, while others are using a softer approach, working with students to set up places on campus where they can remember the victims of the Florida shootings and express their views about school safety and gun control. Since February the 14th shooting at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School, demonstrations have sprung up on school campuses around the country. But the first large-scale coordinated national demonstration is planned for Wednesday, when organizers of the Women's March have called for a 17-minute walkout, 1 minute for each of the 17 students and staff members killed in Florida. National demonstrations are also planned for March the 24th, with a march on Washington, D.C., and on April 20th, the 19th anniversary of the Columbine High School massacre in Colorado. No matter how schools decide to deal with the demonstrations, students have been reassured by Harvard, Yale, MIT, the University of Connecticut, UCLA, and dozens of other colleges and universities that their participation won't affect their chances of getting admitted. But for middle school and high school administrators, figuring out how to allow the demonstrations during school hours has proven challenging. In some cases, it hasn't gone smoothly. In Needville, Texas, near Houston, Superintendent Curtis Rhodes was castigated on social media after he warned that students who leave class would be suspended for 3 days, even if they get parental permission. "Shame, shame, shame on you," wrote one woman. In Gredston, South Dakota, and I might have mispronounced that, please forgive me, administrators canceled a student walkout planned for April the 20th after a Facebook posted about a plan drew more than 300 negative comments from adults. And in Arizona, dozens of students at Ingleside Middle School near Phoenix were given 1-day suspensions after they left campus on February the 27th. Layla Doffenbaugh, an 8th grade student at Ingleside, said she wanted to participate in the walkout, but didn't because of the threatened suspensions. She does plan to join the Wednesday walkout, even if it means getting suspended. "It's important for me to speak my mind on this topic," she said. "At the end of the day, they shouldn't be able to punish us for exercising our First Amendment rights." AASA, the School Superintendent Association, has fielded dozens of calls, and emails from school administrators asking for advice, while the American Civil Liberties Union has received hundreds of inquiries from students about what their rights are and if they can be disciplined for participating in the protests. The answer depends on each school's code of conduct and disciplinary policies. Generally, the ACLU has been advising students that because they are required to go to school by law, administrators can discipline them for unexcused absences. But the ACLU also told students in an online training video that administrators can't punish them more harshly because of the political nature of their demonstrations.
And support groups for Monday's Celebrate Recovery meets from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Aaron Lake Baptist Church on 1130 Bingham Drive. This is a multi-denominational Christ-based 12-step program that can include post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, abuse, drugs, alcohol, and more. For more information, call 424-7211 or contact John at 723-2319. Suicide Grief Support Group meets at 6:30 p.m. at Manna Church on 5117 Cliffdale Road, Building A. For more information, call area code 910-302-8548. Tia Hart Community Recovery Program meets from 7 to 8 p.m. at 116 East Elwood Avenue in Rayford. For more information, call 848-1872. Al-Anon meets at 7 p.m. at Paymount United Methodist Church Youth Activity Center on 1900 Fort Bragg Road. For more information, call 678-8002. Divorce Care meets from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Manna Church on 5117 Cliffdale Road. For more information, contact Tim or Tracy at 892-5439. And Christ We Do Recover meets from 8 to 9 p.m. at Hope Harbor Christian Mission on US 301 South Service Road. This is an open meeting which deals with chemical dependency. For more information, contact Woody at 423-0608 or 424-8800, extension 272. Alcoholics Anonymous has several meetings on Mondays. There are 7 a.m., noon, 5:30, and 8 p.m. meetings at 626 Sandalwood Drive. There's a 10 a.m. meeting at 40 Marion Road in Lumberton. Holy Trinity Episcopal Church on 1601 Rayford Road has a noon meeting. There are noon 5:30 p.m. meetings at 604 German Street. There are noon 6:30 p.m. meetings at 401 East 1st Street in Lumberton. Highland Presbyterian Church on 111 Highland Avenue has a 6:30 p.m. meeting. My Rover Reese on 560 Wilkes Road has a 6:30 p.m. meeting. Spring Lake Methodist Church on 111 North Bragg Boulevard in Spring Lake has a 7 p.m. meeting. United Methodist Church on 4955 Legion Road in Hope Mills has an 8 p.m. meeting. And there's an 8 p.m. meeting at 400 Prospect Road in Pembroke. The hotlines for Alcoholics Anonymous are 678-8733 or 678-8002. Recovery in Action meets at 8 p.m. at Manna Church on 5117 Cliffdale Road. For more information, call 867-9151. The Landing is a meeting for teens 13 to 18 seeking healing from their hurts, hang-ups, and habits. It meets from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Aaron Lake Baptist Church Family Life Center on 1130 Bingham Drive. Narcotics Anonymous. To find weekly meeting times and locations, call 866-418-9500 and go to their website, crna.org. People Assisting Victims meets at 7:30 p.m. at Cumberland Community Foundation Building on Green Street. Sex Addicts Anonymous. To find meeting times and locations, call 1-800-477-8191. Take Off Pounds Sensibly meets at 5:30 p.m. at First Baptist Church on 202 Summit Drive in Sanford. For more information, call 1-800-932-8677. Go to their website, tops.org. That's tops.org. The Autism Society of Cumberland County's High Functioning Autism Support Group meets at 5:45 p.m. at Dorothy Spanauer School on Hall Road. For more information, call 826-3005. Go to the website autismcc.org. This group is for families of children, adolescents, and adults with high-functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome. The Fibromyalgia Support Group meets at 4 p.m. at Southeastern Lifestyle Center for Fitness and Rehabilitation on 4895 Fayetteville Road in Lumberton. Registration is required by calling 735-2830 or emailing walklc08@srmc.org.
Today we have an international story here. Contamination concerns arise in UK spy case. Salisbury, England. The health implications of the nerve agent attack on a Russian ex-spy and his adult daughter broadened Sunday when British officials conceded that limited traces of contamination were found in a restaurant and a pub in Salisbury, a city in England. Public health officials said the risk of others being sickened by the chemicals that put the father and daughter in critical condition a week ago was very low. But they advised people who had patronized the business during the 2-day period to wash their clothes, double bag articles for dry cleaning, and to wipe down items like jewelry. It's really important to understand the general public should not be concerned. There is, on the evidence currently, a very low risk. Dr. Jenny Harris of Public Health in England said during a news conference. Sergei Skripal, 66, and his daughter Yulia, 33, were found comatose on a bench near Zizi restaurant, the Mill Pub, on March the 4th. Several hundred people would have been in the Salisbury establishment that day and the day after. The public health concerns and the 7 days it took authorities to give instructions for reducing possible exposure risks are increasing pressure on the British government to take action against whoever is deemed responsible for the rare nerve agent attack. Treasury Chief Philip Hammond added his voice Sunday to the chorus of senior British figures vowing that strong steps will be taken if a foreign government is found to be responsible. Britain would respond appropriately in that case. The government has not yet named the nerve agent used or signaled that the evidence collected so far suggests that another government is to blame. The widow of another Russian former spy who was poisoned in England and spent 3 weeks hospitalized before he died told the BBC Sunday that British officials have not made good on a written promise to take every possible step to prevent crimes like the killing of her husband, Alexander Levinskio. It means something was not done, Mario Levinskio said of the attack on Skripal. And the lesson that we received after the murder of my husband was not learned.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way Partner Agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Radio hosts today are
James
and Robert, and we are proud to serve you today. From the Life section, Celestial Beings, How a Wrinkle in Time Designed the Elaborate Looks for Oprah, Reese, and Mindy, by Sonia Ray, The Washington Post. It's fitting that Oprah Winfrey plays Mrs. Witch in director Ava DuVernay's new adaptation of A Wrinkle in Time. The character's mystical abilities match the media giant's level of influence, creating an overall air of power that the film's costume designer and makeup team worked together to reflect. Her wardrobe was fantastic, and we pulled from the wardrobe. Lalit Littlejohn, head of the makeup department, said of Winfrey's costumes, "We tried to make her look as strong as possible." Mrs. Witch and her fellow celestial beings, Mrs. Whatsit, played by Reese Witherspoon, and Mrs. Who, played by Mindy Kaling, lead 13-year-old Meg, played by Storm Reed, and others on a journey to rescue the girl's scientist father, played by Chris Pine, from evil otherworldly forces. The three Mrs. W's dress in elaborate outfits with heavy makeup and big hairdos, each look representing their respective personalities and origin stories. It's better seen than simply described. Here are some of their most fascinating looks and the inspiration behind each one. Oprah Winfrey, Mrs. Witch. This look, one of costume designer Paco Delgado's favorites, elicited gasp when Disney released the first trailer back in July. Mrs. Witch appears as a shimmering light most of the time, and Delgado drew from abstract ideas like volcano explosions and depictions of galaxies to capture that energy while dressing her human-like form. It was a lot of metal and silver, all these things that reflect a powerful woman, he said. We tried to put some sort of fiber optic fabric in some of the dresses to make them glow and leap from the inside. Derek Rutledge, Winfrey's personal makeup artist, who also worked on the film, designed rhinestone eyebrows for each Mrs. Witch ensemble. He created them by setting metal pieces and jewels from a craft store on lace, choosing tones that complemented Delgado's designs. Each set took about an hour and a half to make. I always started with the left eyebrow, and once that was done, he explained, sighing, I'd say, now I have to take a little break. And then I would do the same for the right eyebrow. The idea behind this cage-like structure, which Delgado described as almost like armor, came from hoop skirts, undergarments women wore in the 19th century to maintain the shape of their dresses. Why don't we put that on the exterior? Delgado recalled thinking. If we do that, and in metal, it would be like a protective garment. Mrs. Witch's shiny makeup was inspired by her celestial nature, as Little John meant it as a nod to a shattered star. That's why her eyebrows were rhinestones and everything was glitter, she said. This look was special for Rutledge, who had always dreamed of working on a fantasy project. He used silver loops from his late mother's charm bracelet to create the eyebrows. I wanted it to be something that was sentimental to me, he said, that made it feel like she was part of this movie. Mindy Kaling, Mrs. Who. Kaling plays Mrs. Who, a scholar being who often quotes famous thinkers and literary works because she finds it hard to choose her own words. Delgado viewed her as a super librarian of the universe, and her garments reflected this worldliness. Japanese ideas or South American embroidery or African prints were basically the idea, he said, on these different cultures in the world that she knew so well. It's not unusual to see Kaling in crazy prints. Her character on the Mindy Project, which wrapped in November, notably wore vibrant outfits that matched her personality. The mixed patterns and bold colors had become synonymous with Mindy's look, the show's costume designer, Salvador Perez, told Vulture in October. Mrs. Who's makeup is more subdued than Mrs. Witch's. Her painted lips, mascara, heavy eyelashes, and rosy cheeks contribute to a doll-like appearance, not unlike the collectible Barbies modeled after the extraterrestrial trio. That was the intent, according to Little John, who said Mrs. Who's expressive nature led to close-up shots of her reciting poetry to Meg and her companions, brother Charles Wallace, played by Derek McCabe, and friend Calvin, played by Levi Miller. The makeup team opted for a not-so-jarring look, one that would endear the young trio and audiences to this character. So I said a doll, Little John explained. Mrs. Who's intricate hairstyle, designed by stylist Kimberly Kimball, mimics her quilted clothing. The Barney values coherence, said Little John, who also works with the director on Queen Sugar. She knows exactly what she wants, she added. Everything had to blend. Reese Witherspoon, Mrs. Watson. Mrs. Watson, the youngest of the three Mrs. W's, is also the best at interacting with the children because of her motherly nature. She transforms into a fantastical winged creature on the planet Uriel, and her dresses were therefore made of lightest fabrics like silk. When she moved, everything moved with her in the wind, Delgado said. I was looking up images of the tails of goldfish and how they were waving with the water and butterflies and flowers. Despite the eye-catching, fiery hue of her hair, Mrs. Watson's makeup is generally limited to shimmery lips and matching eyeshadow. Little John kept colors consistent, pairing metallic green with a sea green toned dress and gold with a plain white gown. Delgado said he worked closely with Little John and Kimball to coordinate the looks. I changed things because of what they chose for styles or color for the hair, he said. I'd come back with costumes and they'd say, oh, you have all these ideas, why don't we do this? We had really nice continuous feedback between the three of us. The settings influenced their decisions as well. Meg, Charles Wallace, and Calvin followed the Mrs. W's to a number of planets, each one distinct in its appearance and mood, and their looks had to fit them all. I didn't want you to be shocked by their faces going into the planet, Uncle John said. I wanted it to be a smooth run for your eyes blurred like ours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Bean. We have here, ladies and gentlemen, I know we didn't probably do this today, but we had a birthday yesterday. We have a few announcements before we continue on with the articles. I believe yesterday Sarah Wilcox had her birthday. We weren't in the office to express our birthday wishes to you, Sarah, but Mr. Bean, Robert, and I are definitely glad to wish you a happy birthday, It's a late one, but we wish you the best today. I know it's a little cloudy outside and rainy, but we wish you a late happy birthday. Thank you so much, Sarah, for listening. Okay, we have our articles here as far as what's coming up today. What's coming up today, Mr. Bean, is we're having our 8th annual golf tournament, right? We read radio, we read to the blind through the radio, and we're having our golf tournament here in an effort to support. We are a partner agency of the United Way, let me say. We're asking for your help with our 8th annual golf tournament on April the 7th with either a whole sponsorship for $100 or team sponsorship. In an effort to support our mission and continued financial success, we will be hosting our 8th annual golf tournament on Saturday, April 7th, and it's going to be located at Gates 4 Golf and Country Club starting at 11 a.m. Tee-off will be at 12 p.m. So if you're interested or you know anybody that's a golfer, please send them this way starting April 7th at Gates 4 and at 11 a.m. With your support of $100 donation, your sponsorship will include additional advertisement and whole signage. A corporate sponsorship of $300. So if you know anybody that's in the corporate world and would like to play and have a team come out, that will consist of $300, and it will include all of the above, and that will be possibly you can bring about 4 players, and they will be eligible to play. Okay, at this tournament. Any donations is tax deductible. We are a charitable organization with federal tax exempt status, 501c3, and that's FTID number 58-1746684. If you have any further questions, please contact Ms. Valerie Woodard at 672-2013, or just call her cell number. She's allowed that to be out there at 797-2944. Please spread the word to others. We need your help. Thank you for your support of our listeners and volunteers. Can you second that, Mr. B?
Yes.
Definitely need your support. Thank you. Yes. And we have, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the board in here today. His name is Robert Bean. But we haven't figured out which chairman of the board he is of yet. But when we do, he'll let us know. Thank you, Robert.
Frank Sinatra's long lost son.
Yeah.
Okay, we have from Applause, Haley Dietermeyer of Fayetteville was named to the Fall 2017 Dean's List at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. Morgan Long of Southern Pines was named to the Fall 2017 Dean's List at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. And also Reginald McMillan of Rayford was named to the Fall 2017 Dean's List at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. And Fake News Smear Taking Hold at All Levels of Discourse by Ryan J. Foley, Associated Press. Idaho State lawmaker urges her constituents to submit entries for her fake news awards. The Kentucky governor tweets #fake news to dismiss questions about his purchase of a home from a supporter. An aide to the Texas Land Commissioner uses the phrase to downplay the significance of his boss receiving donations from employees of a company that landed a multi-million-dollar contract. President Donald Trump's campaign to discredit the news media has spread to officials at all levels of government who are echoing his use of the term fake news as a weapon against unflattering stories. It's become ubiquitous as a signal to a politician's supporters to ignore legitimate reporting and hard questions as a smear of the beleaguered and dwindling local press corps, and as a way for conservatives to push back against what they call biased stories. When Trump announced he was going to do his fake news awards, a group of us conservative legislators said, "We need to do that too," said Idaho State Representative Priscilla Giddings, who has urged supporters to send examples of biased, misleading, and fake news, and plans to announce her awards March 18th. We need people to wake up to the fact that just because it's on the front page of the Boise newspaper doesn't mean it's 100% true. The winners of the contest, it turns out, will be announced at the end of Sunshine Week, an annual focus by the nation's news media on government transparency and the importance of the free press. Rhonda Prast, editor of the Idaho Statesman in Boise, said it was ridiculous for anyone to assert that it would publish a story it knew contained falsehoods. The Statesman has a long-standing reputation as a reliable paper of record, going back 154 years, and our standards for accuracy and fairness have never changed, she said in a statement. The allegations of fake news are unjust attacks on a free press.
Okay, we have some national news here, world news, national, about the condition in North Korea and U.S. officials meeting. U.S. officials, no more conditions imposed on North Korea for talks. Trump administration officials said Sunday there will be no more conditions imposed on North Korea before a first ever meeting of the two nations' leaders beyond the North's promise not to resume nuclear testing and missile fights, or public criticism of U.S. South Korean military exercises. The official comment followed the surprise announcement last week that President Donald Trump has agreed to meet the North's Kim Jong-un by May. This potential meeting has been agreed to. There are no additional conditions being stipulated, but again, they cannot engage in a missile testing. They cannot engage in nuclear testing, and they cannot publicly object to the U.S. South Korea planned military exercises, Deputy White House spokesman Raj Shah said. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, what's his name? Stephen, the Treasury Secretary. Do you know? Mnuchin.
Oh, Mission?
Mission? Okay. Thank you there. Mission said the summit would give Trump a chance to sit down and see if he can cut a deal with Kim over the North's nuclear program. The president has been very clear in what the objective is here, and that is to get rid of nuclear weapons on the Korean Peninsula. The administration officials credited toughened economic sanctions imposed by the United Nations and pushed by the United States with helping bring Kim to the brink of negotiations. Our policy is pressure from our partners and allies around the world, pressure to the United Nations, pressure through China. These have had an impact. It's impacted Kim Jong-un's behavior. It's impacted his conduct. But some members of Congress said they worry that Trump acted impulsively in agreeing to meet with Kim before negotiators for both countries had a chance to set some goals the leaders could agree to. But the important thing is the diplomatic work that has to go in before such a meeting. A meeting like that would be kind of an afterthought after things are negotiated. Here it looks as if, that's kind of the opening gambit. And that's a little worrisome, said Jeff Flake, a Republican senator from Arizona, a frequent Trump critic. The U.S. and South Korea hold military maneuvers every year. They were postponed during the recent Winter Olympics in South Korea. They are expected to be held in April, but no official announcement has been made about when they will take place. In an interview en route to the Middle East, Defense Secretary Jim Mathis declined to discuss the timing and scale of the exercises. Mathis wouldn't talk at all about the diplomatic push over North Korea's nuclear program. When you get in a position like this, the potential for misunderstanding remains very high. Mathis was among the advisors in the White House on Thursday when Trump decided to accept Kim's offer to meet. The offer was relayed to Trump by a South Korean government delegation that briefed the president on their meeting with Kim last week in North Korea's capital. Trump said Saturday that he believes North Korea will abide by its pledge to suspend missile tests while he prepares for the summit. He noted in a tweet that North Korea has refrained from such tests since November and said Kim has promised not to do so through our meetings. I believe they will honor that commitment, the president said. Later, at a political rally in Pennsylvania, when Trump mentioned Kim's name, the crowd booed. But Trump responded, "No, it's very positive. No, after the meeting, you may do that. But now we have to be very nice, because let's see what happens. Let's see what happens." Flake and Munchin spoke on NBC's Meet the Press. Shah was on ABC's this week. And please forgive the pronunciation of names.
Judas Priest goes ballistic on firepower by Wayne Perry, the Associated Press. This article focuses on the new Judas Priest album Firepower from Epic Records. If you think these heavy metal dinosaurs have had it, you've got another thing coming. Firepower, the fast-paced title track from the British Steel Merchant's latest album, is the best song Judas Priest has recorded in nearly 3 decades, kicking off a strong album that stands with any they've done before. Though not intended as a concept album, Firepower has a common thread running through much of it. Songs from the viewpoint of soldiers or warriors in battle, whether it's the unnamed foes in the title track, the devil in Evil Never Dies, or mortal opponents in No Surrender. The album ends with Sea of Red, an ode to those who died in battle, so that others might live. The album also features a string of blacklist-type villains, each given a sinister name that could have formed an episode of the James Spader TV show Necromancer, Flamethrower, and Spectre. Come to think of it, shave off singer Rob Halford's beard, plop a fedora atop his head, and he looked more than a little like a heavy metal Raymond Reddington. Though not the vocal siren he used to be, Halford is still scary, intense, and convincing in the lower registers. Firepower may also be the last album that founding guitarist Glenn Tipton plays on, having retired last month from touring due to Parkinson's disease, but he's holding out the possibility of future contributions, and his solos here with guitar colleague Richie Faulkner are definitely Priest-worthy.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have an opinion here. Hog Farm suit shows why some innovation is in order. In a federal courtroom last week, lawyers argued about what kind of evidence would be allowed at an upcoming trial. It was typical of the sort of sparring that goes on before a big lawsuit is heard. But this suit is anything but typical. It's a massive nuisance suit filed by the people who live around some of this state's factory-scale hog farms. They're seeking damages from a subsidiary of Smithfield Foods, one of the world's largest pork producers. The company that has made North Carolina number 2 in the nation for pork output. Pork is a $2.3 billion a year industry here, but it's not without drawbacks. Anyone who has spent time in farm country around here has a pretty good idea why the neighbors are bringing this suit. Most hog farms collect the animals' waste in open lagoons and then periodically spray it on farm fields. This helps dispose of the waste and effectively fertilizes the food. The trouble is, it also creates an almost unbearable stench. The more than 500 neighbors bringing the federal suit say the sprayed effluent droplets sometimes get picked up by the wind and deposited on their homes, cars, and clothing. They say it creates intense odors, draws clouds of flies, and generally prevents them from enjoying their own property. The neighbors' lawyers want to introduce evidence that there's a better way. In other states, farmers use alternative methods of waste disposal that don't involve open lagoons and spraying the waste into the air. The lawyers want to introduce this information at the trial to show that there could be a way to prevent the problems inherent in spray disposal. The hog industry lawyers don't want the jurors to hear about those other methods. They are used in place with different soils, different climates, and other factories that might not be found in North Carolina. The suggested remedies might not work here. We're not sure what U.S. District Judge W. Earl Britt will rule about the evidence involving alternative solutions, but we do know it will take great feats of legal magic to persuade a North Carolina jury that hog farms don't stink. Whatever happens with the big and complex suit against hog growers, the case highlights a common problem in this part of North Carolina, one that government should be working harder to help solve. We appreciate the value of the hog industry in North Carolina as much as we appreciate a good plate of barbecue and ribs. We don't want to chase it away. But hog farms do come equipped with some nuisance issues, and the state could be doing a lot more to help the farms introduce innovative solutions. It could start with simple measures like incentives to close up those lagoons or find viable alternatives to waste spraying. And it could go as far as finding ways to do what Harnett County hog farmer Tom Butler has done, but on a greater scale. Butler, who raises thousands of pigs, is storing waste in covered lagoons, collecting the methane it generates, and using it to help generate electricity. He's also got solar panels, and he's created a microgrid that keeps his farm's power up and operating at all times. Even when there's a commercial power outage, working in partnership with local utilities, he'll soon be supplying power to nearby homes as well. Maybe the jury doesn't need to know about the innovations like that, but lawmakers should, and this state should have programs that help more hog farmers change the way they dispose of waste, using it for more than fertilizing fields and making this state more energy independent. It would require some subsidies, incentives, and tax breaks, along with lots of technical assistance. But the end result would be new energy resources and hog farms that make better neighbors, and everyone could thrive.
Business Buzz. 3 big job fairs in 8-day stretch. 3 large-scale job fairs are on tap in an 8-day period this month, kicked off by the Cumberland County Department of Social Services March to Work Job Fair on March 21st. This fair usually draws about 100 employers and 2,000 job seekers. It is 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Crown Expo Center on 1960 Coliseum Drive. An internet job cafe and the NC Works Career Center, which provides services intended to benefit vendors and employers, will be incorporated. The cafe allows those seeking work to submit online applications on site. More information is available at ccdssnc.com. The Come Check Out the Triangle Job Fairs, March 28th from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the McKimmon Center in Raleigh. This is hosted by the NC Technology Association and Work in the Triangle. Featured employers include Apex Analytics, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Carolina Career College's National Business Training, Deutsche Bank, Fidelity Investments, Frudenberg ITLP, K4 Connect, Trilliant, and Vietra. Skill sets sought range from entry-level to senior roles in software development and engineering, web and mobile development, data analytics, information technology management, support and security, cloud computing, quality assurance, admissions representative, project and account management, business development, marketing, and accounting finance. More information is available at nctech.org. The job fair is also set for March 28th at James Front Community College from 1 to 4 p.m., featuring 30 to 50 employers from Raleigh to Wilmington to Jacksonville. The fair is open to the general public in addition to students, alumni, veterans, and displaced workers. Food trucks will be there, as will a mobile NC Works Career Center available for printing resumes and completing applications online. The fair will be at the Duplin County Event Center on 105 Fairgrounds Drive in Keaningsville. Information is available at jamesfrontcommunitycollege.wordpress.com. And tonight on television, ABC WTVD Channel 11 and WPDE Channel 15 from 8 to 10, American Idol. 102 auditions, hopefuls audition for the judges. From 10 to 11, The Good Doctor. A patient faces a difficult decision. CBS WNCN Channel 17 and WBTW Channel 13 from 8 to 8:30, The Big Bang Theory. From 8:30 to 9, Man with a Plan. From 9 to 9:30, Young Sheldon. From 9:30 to 10, Living Biblically. From 10 to 11, NCIS, The Team Tracks an Elusive Arms Dealer. Fox WGHP Channel 8, WSFX Channel 26, and WRAL Channel 5. From 8 to 9, Lucifer. Charlotte Tries to Help Linda, and Maze. From 9 to 10, The Resident. Conrad and Lane butt heads. And from 10 to 11, The News. NBC WRAL Channel 5, WECT Channel 6, and WMBF Channel 32. From 8 to 10, The Voice, The Blind Auditions Part 5. The vocalists compete. From 10 to 11, Good Girls. Beth, Annie, and Ruby agree to help Rio. PBS WUNC Channel 4, WUNU, and WUNJ. From 8 to 10, Independent Lens, featuring black colleges and universities. And beginning at 10, the New York Cantos. A&E Channel 21. From 8 to 9, Divided States. A man shouts racial slurs at two teens. From 9 to 10, Divided States. Fatal shooting in a sports bar. From 10 to 11, Divided States. Nationalism surges across Europe. AMC Channel 41. From 6:30 p.m. until 10 p.m., a 3-star crime drama from 2000, The Departed, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and Jack Nicholson. Undercover cop and a criminal lead double lives. And from 10 to 11, McMafia, mysterious figure reaches out to Alex. And Turner Classic Movies, Channel 54. From 8 to 10:30, a 4-star drama from 1944, National Velvet. And beginning at 10:30, Life with Father, a 1947 comedy. The Learning Channel, Channel 23. From 8 to 9, Separation Anxiety. 9 to 10, Counting On. And 10 to 11, Little People, Big World. This concludes this reading of Fayetteville Observer. Your hosts have been James and Robert. Please continue to listen to the Southeastern North Carolina radio reading service for more local and regional news. We've enjoyed being with you today. Have a wonderful day.
Venues across the Triangle and beyond. Triangle Bulletin Board airs every week at 11:30 Friday mornings.